Well, hello everyone, and welcome to the City Commissioners Report for the City of Pikeville. I'm Homer Owens from East Kentucky Broadcasting, and our guest in the studio, a double barrel treat for you on this program, Barry Cheney, City Commissioner. Hello, Barry.
Hello, Homer.
Excuse me for introducing Barry first. He carries the seniority and the weight, and Marion Silman with
Hi.
Gardner Silman.
Nice to be here. Thank you.
We're going to talk today about, you're bringing us also a double barrel effort here. You're going to talk about two broad subjects. Barry, first, why don't you set the stage and tell us about Jenny Wiley Theater. There are some developments there about groundbreaking and projections on finish of construction.
Well, the groundbreaking will be October the 30th. Congressman Hal Rogers is going to be here to speak, and the I forgot her name already.
Marquetta Sparrow.
Marquetta Sparrow from State Tourism. She will be here speaking as well, and everybody's very excited about it.
That's October 30th.
October 30th, and that will be at 10:30 a.m.
Right here on this venue that we're talking from, practically next door. Let's jump right to the subject. You're the president of the Jenny Wiley Theater Board, or board chairman, which would be more appropriate?
I think that technically it's president of the board, but the board, like many elements of Jenny Wiley Theater, is a very democratic process. It takes a lot of people to make what happens, both as at the staff level and at the board level. So I feel like I carry that title, but it's really a group effort. This is a very exciting thing for Jenny Wiley. As you know, we've been able to provide outdoor amphitheater and then more recently some indoor theater in the area for 48 years. We'll be having our 48th season this year, and we feel blessed to be supported by the community. We have always dreamed of having an indoor space to be able to expand what we do and provide more theater to the community for more of the year. And one of the things that will be wonderful about this space is it will give us a home so that we will not be having to work around other people's schedules and plan in between other things that are happening, and we'll be able to set our schedule and have a regular offering.
Marion, let me say that as president of the Jenny Wiley Theater Board, you've had this under consideration for some time. I'm sure you've looked at it from many angles. What I've heard is you're anticipating 5 productions a year.
In addition to our summer season.
In addition to the summer season.
That's what we're working on.
Now, if I did my math correctly, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, that's a production about every 60 days. That sounds pretty ambitious.
Well, one of the things that we have to remember is that there are a lot of different avenues that theater can go. So Jenny Wiley, on the outdoor amphitheater stage, produces mostly large musical theaters. But theater is very, very broad. And we now do some smaller shows in our indoor space at the Wilkinson Stumbo Convention Center. So smaller indoor shows may be some of those productions. Youth theater productions. So there are a lot of avenues to go along. And one of the things about having theater all year round is that we don't have to hire in staff just for that show. We can actually have full-time staff and can pay for them. So that actually enables us to make our productions go more smoothly from one to the next, because people know the space. They know how things work in the community. We have a relationship with them. We're not training new people each time.
So you're talking about a permanent production staff and then the performing people around that. That is a situation of flux. The performing ones may be a musical, maybe a drama.
Right. And performers typically do get hired for a show, but we have even now, we have a core group of performers, both local and regional and national, who we draw from, and hopefully that will become even stronger. We do have a permanent technical director now on staff. We were able to add that position in anticipation of increasing our productions.
I've got a question.
Sure.
Pike County is rich in talent. Marion, and you know, I've visited in the area churches and different functions. I've heard some amazing singing, acting. What opportunity will our local people have and maybe starting a professional career with you, because after all, Jenny Wiley Theater is professional.
Absolutely. And I think that those opportunities exist both through Jenny Wiley and some other theaters in the region, and they will continue to expand in the quantity of opportunities. So one of the things that having a permanent space allows us to do is to expand our educational programs. And arts education is just wonderful for a community, not just for the kids who are involved, because even kids who don't become professional actors benefit from all of the skills. I mean, somebody like your role of public speaking, anything that you do nowadays, those skills really benefit. In addition to that, arts education is important for critical thinking skills and creativity. So for everything from business entrepreneurship and other things can benefit. But as you say, there are many, many talented people who may want to pursue a career or a strong secondary interest in the area. So the educational programs will help get people ready, and we're hoping that educational programs won't just be for young people, but that there'll be some master classes for adults and university students, and we're hoping to have a collaboration with the University of Pikeville in the future. And then with more productions and more roles and more opportunities, not just to be on stage, but also to help with the behind-the-scenes things, there is more opportunity for more people to be involved. So we're hoping that we'll be able to expand that. We already have quite a lot of participation locally from the Pike County and Pikeville area. So that's, people have always been big supporters in terms of attending shows, but also participating in them.
You mentioned the University of Pikeville, a possible collaboration at a future date. You also have the community and technical college students to draw from, all the public schools in the county. This looks like rich hunting ground for Jenny Wiley Theater.
We hope so, and we hope that we will be able to bring something back to them as well, that we'll be able to offer them arts education experiences that would be harder for them to access now, so that they will be closer both in terms of attending productions and bringing workshops into their schools and their venues.
We're talking with Marion Silman of Gardner Silman out of Salyersville. We'll get to another subject in just a moment. Have you seen the rendering and the blueprints? I'm sure you have as president.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Are you pleased?
Oh, we're thrilled. Do you want to talk about that, Barry?
Well, I'll let you talk about that, Marion. Okay. You get so much more excited than I do, isn't it?
Well, we were able to, I want to say to start that the initiative that the city of Pikeville took in deciding that they wanted to create an arts and culture environment within the city, and that was important for quality of life in the city, was the starting ground. And so the recognition that the City Commission and the leaders in the city had, that this was a vital part of making Pikeville a wonderful place to live, and making it a
destination point.
A destination, but not just for people from the outside. A place where people would want to live and want to stay, and where their day-to-day life would be very interesting and very fulfilling, and bring new things into it. And we know what is delightful about small cities like Pikeville in lots of ways, but to have arts and culture just adds to that. So that was the first thing, was that the city said, we value what arts and culture can bring. We recognize that that's something important. And, as Barry said, we want it to be downtown, because we think it will add to the flavor and what we have to offer downtown. Now, that's wonderful. It's also a challenge from an architectural standpoint, because you have all of the existing buildings and you have limited space. So we felt it was very important to have a very creative approach to looking at how to design this building. And while we have a great wish list of what we would like from the theater perspective, we also knew that it had to fit in with the community and meet the needs of the community, and also fit into the budget.
Did any of the bells and whistles survive your first wish list?
Yes, they have. And what we've been able to do is to prioritize what we do first, and then how we layer on more icing over time. We were fortunate in that we had a great response nationally to our request for qualifications. It was an RFQ, request for qualifications, for design teams. And so we had 8 submissions from really high quality architectural and theater design teams. And we were able to pick and employ a team that is just the top notch nationally of theater designers. So we have an architecture firm that pretty much does theaters at all different levels: big theaters, small theaters, university and college campus theaters, and then communities. And they loved the challenge of doing something in a community and in a different part of the world. They've actually just finished a project in Bowling Green, so they were familiar with parts of Kentucky. And then with them is a very well-known theater design group also out of New York that has done interiors, and not only do they do design work for theaters and then leave, but they're actually actively involved in design for theater production sometimes, so they really understand. And they've been invaluable in helping us figure out balancing, okay, we want flexibility in our equipment and we want flexibility for now and for the future, but we can only afford this, and they've come up with some fabulous creative solutions. So it's really, I think, going to afford us the best of all worlds.
Let's take a virtual tour through the completed building, which is
Well, let me interject
just
here.
under construction, maybe.
Let me jump in here just
Sure.
a second. Sorry about that, Homer.
No problem.
I'm terrible about that. I apologize. But I want to back up. One thing about bringing Jenny Wiley Theater and the arts downtown, it's a way to revitalize, it's a successful way to revitalize the downtown. There's many opinions out there about what it takes to revitalize the downtown. A lot of people feel that you should have a bar on every corner, and I've even been approached about need a strip club downtown. And needless to say, that's rejected.
Have you sought funding for that yet?
Oh, no, there won't be any funding for that. But, there was a small community about 45 minutes away from here in West Virginia that went this route. And, it led to the deterioration of their downtown. One of the larger cities in West Virginia opened this Pandora's box in the 70s and has spent the 80s and 90s trying to clean it up. So, this is not the direction we go in. Every successful revitalization of downtown has been built around the arts, and that's what we want for Pikeville. We want a downtown that everybody can be proud of, and everybody can enjoy, and and it begins with the arts and bringing out what our community and our area has to offer. And then when our visitors come in and see our town, it's something that we can be proud of and something that they want to come back to.
Well said. Getting back to my observation, why don't you take us on a virtual tour of the theater once it's been completed? Don't leave out any details. Give us the color of the seating and the upholstery and everything.
Some of those details are yet to be determined. So the groundbreaking is for what we're calling the studio theater. This is a flexible theater space that will allow us to have productions with an audience of about 220 people, 220 to 240. The seating is what's called telescopic seating, and that's a word for fancy retractable seating. So these are units that, when they are out, look like permanent seating, but there are rows that actually fold down and can be retracted, so that the room then becomes a large space that can be set up differently, used for other functions. Could be used for rehearsal, could be used for all kinds of functions, not just for Jenny Wiley Theater, but for other groups as well. So there could be sculpture set up in it. There could be folk art displays. I mean, it could become a museum space. It could become a space for a gala or a fundraiser or a party. It could become a space for a wedding. So we are balancing these two ideas so that this is the most flexible space available, but also allows us to do wonderful theater. The design team is a firm called Holtzman Moss Bettino, and Malcolm Holtzman, who is the senior partner and is the partner who we are working with, is known for his creative use of materials, and Barry has been very taken with this.
Oh yeah, and in fact he's authored 3 books, and this is his last one, A Material Life. Material Life, he borrowed the title from Madonna, of course, but and it talks about different uses of materials and how he goes into an area and he looks at the area and sees the materials in that area that are offered. And it's really cost effective and reflects the culture of the area. And we're very, very fortunate to have this designer to come in here, architect to come in here and to design this building. And you know, we had those eight RFQs come in, and when I came home Friday evening before we chose the architect, and I have this pile of all this on my front steps, and you know, I spend all weekend going through all this, and over, you know, I kept coming back to Halston.
RFQ, if I remember it, request for quote.
Qualifications.
Yes.
So in terms of the interior, what we're looking at is this will not be a black box. This will not be an all-black theater on the inside. There will be wood. There will be some color. We are looking at using a material on the inside that has some interesting properties in terms of texture as well as a good audio quality to it, so it can absorb some of the sound. And it's and we're not sure what the color pattern will be. There will be light, both the theater lighting in there, but also lighting so that when the room is in use for something else, there's ample lighting and you don't feel like you're in a cavernous space where all the lights are coming from the top, so that it will feel like a room and a comfortable room. And that is the new construction of that theater. The stage will be a full-size stage, and to be honest with you, I can't remember
I was going to ask you the square footage.
Yeah, and you know, I'm not sure I'm going to be very much help. I'm sorry, I didn't do my homework. Do you recall square footage?
I can't remember the square footage, but it's going to be an adequate size.
Yeah.
You know,
Good.
234 people will fit in there
Right.
and enjoy the theater.
And then the entrance for now will be through a renovation to the second part, the what we call the church building. It had become it had been temporarily used by a church. It was the as you're looking at the old Dawhares two buildings, it was the one on the right. I don't know how people refer to it in Pikeville.
Mostly the Dawhares building.
Okay, so
yes,
the right-hand side of the Dawhares building. And that will be converted to provide lobby and entrance and ticket office and public restrooms and a shop in the back, which the public won't see, but will be very, very helpful to us to build sets and props, and then also the dressing area. So there'll be both some backstage space and some public area space.
And something you haven't had in the past, Marion, is permanent storage space for
Right.
props over the seasons.
We already have that. They have already been hard at work at putting in shelving and storage space, and I haven't seen the most recent, but apparently it's fabulous because not only is stuff safe and dry, but you can find what you're looking for. So that will save us so much money that we don't have to rebuy things when we just can't find it fast enough.
And Pike TV will have a part in this as well. They'll be filming some of the productions, and
Does the funding, which I assume is in place for the entire project at the moment, include the equipment?
Yes.
Yeah.
So the first phase is the funding is there for the renovation of the Dawhares building for that public and back of house, both front of house and backstage space area, and the new construction of the theater, and that includes all the lighting and sound equipment for the theater, as well as all of the things that we need to make it functional. Mm-hmm. So that's all in place.
Being president of the Jenny Wiley Theater, I assume you know what the first productions will be, if you care to share them with us.
Actually, we don't.
You don't?
No.
You haven't decided yet?
No, we haven't.
You're waiting for Marty's approval.
Well, we also, as I mentioned to you, we have a new technical director who started last spring, and that has opened up some new ideas for us, and he has contacts out. And so we like to really get feedback from our artistic staff, so that's our directors, our designers, our actors, and get ideas. And we will be looking to see over this next few months, what should we launch with in that winter of 2014, which is when we will start doing production. So, and once we decide, we may have to keep it a little bit of a surprise anyway.
Oh, tease us to death. I know it's coming.
But we do have our next summer season.
Well, I can suggest who would be a good leading man. If you
Okay,
need one.
absolutely.
Barry, get out of here. Okay, we could go on. We have, I don't know, 10 minutes left in this program. with this subject, but let's change subjects. You're here for two reasons. We've talked with you about Jenny Wiley Theater. Barry, you want to ask her anything else about the theater?
Oh, I think we're pretty well up to date on the theater.
I think that I hope what people will see is that this is an investment. That that while this is from Jenny Wiley Theater's perspective, this is a wonderful opportunity for us. We also want it to be and think it will be a wonderful opportunity for the city. And so there's this new concept, and this kind of is a segue into our next thing, I think, of placemaking. What makes places desirable? So it's not just the physical environment and it's not just the economics, but it's all of those things put together and what's happening there and what is there and what comes into it, what stays, what is able to go out, and the interaction of places and all of the concentric circles of how they interact and the people interact around it. And so we hope that the addition of arts and culture in the downtown, not just theater, but that people who appreciate the arts then will bring other things, and the Artisan Center will be supported, and other theaters will be able to be supported, and dance and music and the universities and the colleges and the public schools, that will really enhance.
Yeah. You know,
what you just heard was Marion Silman being very effusive about a rather dry subject, comprehensive plan. We'll talk about that in a moment.
Well, you know, one thing people don't understand about this, Homer, it's not just the arts, and you know, it's not just bringing people in. You know, I'll strike up a conversation with anybody, and you know, I was visiting one of our local stores back in the summer, and I noticed this car from Virginia, and I thought, you know, car from Virginia here, and you know, I kind of waited for the guy to come out, and I struck up a conversation with him, and you know, asked him, you know, what brings you to Pikeville? And you know, he was from over the other side of Tazewell, Virginia, so he's a pretty good ways away, and you know, he got to telling me how that his daughter had came to a show at the Expo Center, and she had saw in the window a dress that she loved. And so she came back her and her boyfriend came back and bought the prom dress. And now she's getting married, and so she's coming back, and because she went in that store and bought the prom dress and saw the wedding dresses, she now came back to Pikeville to purchase. Their local furniture store talked to a man from Mingo County, West Virginia. You know, same as well. He came to a Muscle, Maine, and he drove by, and his wife noticed the furniture in the window, and you know, he came back to purchase. So the more people you have coming through your community, into your community, seeing the value of your community, the more business they'll do here.
There's two small vignettes of the success of what we're trying to do in the city. Mm-hmm. Comprehensive plan. Set the stage for us, Marion, if you will.
So cities are required, or at a certain point, the size of a city determines a requirement to have a comprehensive plan and a desire, and they are desirable because you want cities to plan how they are going to expand, develop, and grow. Without a plan, things can be willy-nilly, and you can start something that really doesn't have a future. So while the beginnings of comprehensive plans were around land use primarily, we all now know that land use does not exist in a vacuum, and the determinations about how land is going to be used and where a city should expand, in what direction, and for what purpose is very tied to what else is happening in the life of a community, and that it's integrally related to business and education and population changes and interests and what draws people in, what keeps people here, what makes people choose to live here. So, for example, the great expansions that both Pikeville Medical Center and the University of Pikeville have had over the recent years and are continuing to have, what is going to make a surgeon or a physician or a professor choose to come here and choose Pikeville as the place that they want to come if they are in competition with a city of similar size or a community that's somewhat similar? And that's part of what the comprehensive plan is for. The last comprehensive plan was done in 2004. In 2005, it's time for an update.
Yeah, but too, something I'd like to say about a comprehensive plan, You know, we are presented with a unique set of challenges because we're in the heart of Central Appalachia. And what works outside of Central Appalachia will not work in Central Appalachia. We have an isolation barrier. We have higher rates of cancer, higher rates of diabetes, and other diseases. And you know, some of the results of that has been traced back to poverty and, you know, poor prenatal care, not because of bad parents, but because, you know, just couldn't afford it. So we have those obstacles. We have 36% of our population that are families that are single parents. We have the highest poverty rate in the nation. So, you know, those are some unique challenges that we face that outside Appalachia doesn't face.
Marion, are all those things taken into consideration in the plan?
They are. The city helps to, what we do is we go out and we meet with people from the city and key stakeholders in the community and say, what are your desires, your visions, your needs for this community? And then come back and work with the city planners to figure out how this shakes out in a plan. So the different sections of the plan include everything from infrastructure development, that could include water and sewer, that could include technology, that could include transportation, land use, education, social services, leisure. You know, the phenomenon of the Hatfield-McCoy is adding new things to the idea of what does this community need to be able to support that opportunity.
And too, Homer, something that I want to point out and what I want to encourage people to do is come to these meetings and let their opinion be known. You know, it's just like when I was talking to the people that are out of state, finding out why they were here. You know, that's what we need to know. We need to know why a student is attending UPike, why you came to Pikeville Medical Center for your treatment. What does the resident in the lower end of Pikeville think about should be done in Pikeville? You know, all these things are a part. You know, we're all stakeholders. We all have an interest in what's going on in our community and what's going to happen in our community. And so it's very important that people come, not only businesses, but the everyday citizen, as we would say, and, you know, to have a voice in what's going on.
So we're several years out, 4 or 5 years out of the original plan. Time to take a look at it, a very close look at it, and see what can be done to update.
Well, and that looking happens immediately, you know, over time. So one of the things that the city has been doing is using the plan as their guide, and as they go through and they see, well, what did we identify that's important, and what have we accomplished, and what have we found out maybe isn't going to work for some reason? What are the areas that we found challenges we didn't know were going to be there, and how do we overcome some of those challenges? So it's an ongoing, very iterative, evolving process that really does, as Barry said, have to include the entire community and the diversity of the community.
Not so rigid that the city commissioners can't go out on a fling if they see something that appeals to them.
Well, we don't want to use the word fling.
No, fling is not a good word.
We're physically responsible.
Yeah.
So,
and it's a guide. It's not a binding document.
Right.
Right.
It is a guide. It's not a binding document. And, you know, it gives you an opportunity to have what has already been accomplished, studied, and then see what would be a good direction to go to from there. You know, whenever it's like building a house. You know, if you've ever built one, you know, there are many changes that take place from the foundation to the final product. And that's what a comprehensive plan is. There will be changes, and we know when we run into something we think or can't make it work, you know, we'll back up and look at it and maybe go a different direction. And one of the things that was in the original plan that we've still got to do is diversify our economy. And, you know, one of the directions we're looking in is information technology sector.
When does this all take place? Over what span of time?
Well, we are just starting to reach out and start to interview people from the community, and then we'll be holding public meetings and other ways for the public to be involved, both in terms of reviewing what the city has accomplished over the last 5 to 7 years and where it wants to be going and where the citizens want it to be going and what ideas they have. And then there will be a draft that will be developed. And I need to make sure that people understand that Summit Engineering is really the leader in the comprehensive plan, and they are really the ones who handle all of the technical aspects of infrastructure and that kind of physical development. Right.
Excuse me. Will all this activity take the form of hard copy?
Yes. There is a document that is produced, so the document is several hundred pages, and then it also goes online, and it will be available online for viewing.
Somebody's making gestures at me. I think it's time to kind
Already?
of wrap this up. Gone way too fast. Marion, I'm going to invite you back, even if Barry doesn't.
Okay.
Because the subject can be explored deeper.
Oh yeah. This it's well, you can go on for several hours.
Absolutely. But unfortunately for this program, it's over. It's been a wonderful experience for me. I always learn something from this program. That's why I look forward to it so much. And you have not disappointed us, Marion Silman. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you.
Barry, I'll see you somewhere else.
Well, October 30th,
That's right.
10:30, the groundbreaking. Want everybody to come and have a part in that groundbreaking. That'll be just right out here, and it'll be a wonderful event, and well, it'll be something everybody will enjoy.
Wonderful. This has been the City Commissioner's Report for the City of Pikeville. I'm Homer Owens. Thank you so much for inviting us in.